today's videos, and today we're on Afghanistan. So someone's a little tired. I'll be so here we go. And starting off with history as usual. That was so long ago. Yeah, based on archaeological evidence, urban civilization began in the region somewhere between 3000 and 2000 BC. It's the first historical documents date from the early part of the Iranian Achaemenid dynasty, which controlled the area from about 550 BC up until about 331 BC. Between 331 BC and 327 BC, Alexander the Great defeated the Achaemenid Emperor Darius III and squashed local resistance, as Alexander and his successors were Seleucids brought Greek cultural influences to the region. Shortly thereafter, the Mauryan Empire of India gained control of southern Afghanistan, bringing with it Buddhism. In the mid-3rd century BC, Nomadic Kushans established an empire that became a cultural and commercial centre up until about 375 AD. And from the end of the Kushan Empire in the 3rd century AD until the 7th century, the region was fragmented and under the general protection of the Iranian Sasanian Empire. And in 642 AD, the Arabs invaded the region entirely and introduced Islam as Arab rule, gave way to the Persians, who controlled the area until it was conquered by the Turkic Ghaznavids in 998. And following Mahmud's short-lived dynasty, various princes attempted to rule sections of the country until the Mongol invasion of 1219, led by Genghis Khan. And following the death of Genghis Khan in 1227, a succession of petty chiefs and princes struggled for supremacy until the late 14th century, when one of his descendants, Tamerlane, incorporated Afghanistan into his own vast empire. And in 1747, Ahmad Shah Durrani unified the Pashtun tribes and had created the Durrani Empire, which is considered the beginning of what is modern Afghanistan. In the late 19th century, Afghanistan became a buffer state between the British Indian Empire and the Russian Empire. On August 19th, 1919, following the Third Anglo-Afghan War, the country regained full independence from the UK. And from the 1930s to 1970s, Afghanistan had the essence of a national government, and Kabul was known as the Paris of Central Asia. And a brief foray into democracy ended in 1937 coup. And the 1978 communist counter-coup, as the Soviet Union invaded in 1979, to support the frail Afghan communist regime, sparking a long destructive war, and which kind of saw the rise of the Taliban and all. And the USSR withdrew in 1989 under relentless pressure from internationally supported anti-communist Mujahideen rebels, and after a subsequent series of civil wars, and in 1996 the Kabul fell to the Taliban, and a hardline Pakistani-sponsored movement that emerged in 1994 in the country's civil war and anarchy, but following the 9/11 attacks on the 11th of September 2001, terrorist attacks, a US allied and anti-Taliban Northern Alliance military action toppled the Taliban for sheltering Osama bin Laden, the leader of Al-Qaeda and all. As a UN-sponsored Bonn conference in 2001 established a process for political reconstruction that included the adoption of a new constitution. In December 2004, Hamid Karzai became the first democratically elected president of Afghanistan, and the National Assembly was inaugurated the following December. And after winning a second term in 2009, Karzai's presidency came to an end in 2014 as the Afghan presidential election of 2014 was controversial. And despite UN supervision, there were many allegations of fraud. And after a second round of voting, the two front runners, Ashraf Ghani Ahmadzai and Abdullah Abdullah, came to a power sharing agreement as Ghani serves as the president. And despite gains towards building a stable central government, the resurgent Taliban continue provincial instability, particularly in the south and east, remain serious challenges for the government of Afghanistan. And it's like moving on to language, like Pashto and Dari, like Afghan, Persian or Farsi, are the official languages of Afghanistan, as Pashto was declared a national language of the country during the reign of Shah's reign. However, Dari has always been used for business and government transactions, and both belong to the Indo-European group of languages. According to recent US government estimates, approximately 35% of the Afghan population speaks Pashto, and about 50% speak Dari, as the Turkic languages, like Uzbek and Turkmen, are spoken by about 11% of the population. And there are also numerous other languages spoken in the country, like Baluchi, Pashai, and Nuristani, to mention a few. And bilingualism is common, like very common and all, as both Pashto and Dari are written primarily with the Arabic alphabet. However, there are some modifications, as Pashto literature saw a massive rise in development in the 17th century, mostly due to poets like Khosrow Khan Khattak, who was known today as the national poet of Afghanistan, and other noteworthy Pashto poets in history were Rahman Baba, and the founder of the modern Afghan nation, Ahmed Shah Abdali. And Dari has an extensive literature, as some of the world's greatest poems have originated from Dari and all. Those Dari poems by Jalaluddin Rumi have been translated from the original Dari versions to numerous other languages, and is widely read even in the West. And many powerful kingdoms, such as the Mongols, Indian Mughals, India primarily use dowry in their royal courts. And yeah, and like the many posts and all that. Spoken in languages, I'm going to move on to like another figure. He was made famous a little bit after this one here. Also where she got her name from. And yeah, I was going to talk about Malala of Maiwand. And yeah. As 27th of July 2010 marked the 130th anniversary of the prehistoric Battle of Maiwand, a battle in which a Pashtun girl named Malala lost her life, as she was native of Keeg, a tiny village at the edge of the Maiwand battlefield, and was the daughter of a shepherd. As both her father and fiancé joined with Ayub Khan's army to attack the British on that day, which some say was also her wedding day. And like many women, Malala was there to help tend to wounds and to provide water and spare weapons. Eventually there came a point where the Afghan army, despite their superior numbers, started to lose morale, and the tide seemed to be turning in favour of the British. And seeing this, Malala took off her veil and shouted, young love, if you do not fall in the Battle of Maiwand, by God, someone is saving you as a symbol of shame." And in a native Pashto it sounds something like, something like this, sorry for botch it. Ka pa Maiwand ki shahid na shoy kudai shulai binagi ji tadi satina, as this inspired Afghan writers to redouble their efforts. And after one of the leading flag bearers fell from British bullets, Malala went forward and held up the flag. As some versions say, she made a flag out of her veil, singing a Bandai, with a drop of my sweetheart's blood shed in defence of the motherland, I will put a beauty spot on my forehead, such as would put to shame the rose in the garden. But Malala was then struck down and killed. However, her words inspired on her countrymen, and soon the British lines gave way, broke and turned, leading to a disastrous retreat back to Kandahar, which was the biggest defeat in the Anglo-Indian army of the Second Anglo-Afghan War. As Ayub Khan afterwards gave special honour to Malala, as she was buried at her village, where her grave can still be found. As the British sources don't really mention Malala, as her actions may not have been noticed by any other British, or they may not have seemed consequential as they were to the Afghans, as Afghan women are rarely mentioned at all in reports and narratives of the war. As Hensman mentions that one woman was found among the dead at Ahmed Kel. And interestingly, it is the Afghans who provided some of the evidence for one of the other legends born at the Battle of Maiwand. It is from one of Ayub's artillery colonels that we learn some of the details of the famous last stand of the 66th clutching their company colours in a Keeg garden, where the fallen bodies were later found to be lying. As well as Malala, there were many other factors in the Afghans' favour of that day, including preferable terrain and positioning superior numbers, skilled use of outnumbering artillery, and perhaps some bad decisions on the British side of things. But certainly her actions were not enough to turn her into a national hero. But her actions were enough to turn her into a national hero, which is still revered today. And her schools and hospitals have been erected in her memory, and to this day Malala. It's also a very popular girl's name in her native lands, as Malala is a brave Pashtun Afghan girl who gave her life in defence of her homeland. Won't be forgotten. And I'll include a poem, as the link will be in the description where you can find the poem. It's called Our Children Will Ask Us. Here it goes. Our children will ask us why none of us stood up for what was right. What we answer to those sad faces if we don't ask at last fight. No Pashtun male ever wants to be made to feel dishonoured or ashamed. But if they do nothing like cowards for our tradition, they will be blamed. My sister, from our beloved heroine Malala of my wand. Let us learn we all have an important role to play in this battle, and is now our turn. We are their cherished mothers, their sisters, their daughters, their wives. For their family's honour, we know they would gladly sacrifice their lives, and we must encourage all of our men to take some action and bravely fight. They must boldly face their darkness before there can be hope of any light. And yeah, I'll try and find it Malala's story in here. Yeah. Found it. Malala was the daughter of a shepherd in Maiwand, a small town in dusty plains west of Kandahar. When she was a teenager, both her father and the man she was supposed to marry were among thousands of Afghans fighting against the British occupation of their country. Malala went to the battlefields with other women from the village to tend to the wounded and take them water. She saw their men were losing, and when the flag bearer fell, she lifted her white veil up high, marched onto the battlefield in front of the troops. Young love, if you do not fall in battle of Maiwand, then by God someone is saving you as a symbol of shame. Malala was killed on the fire, but her words and bravery inspired men to turn the battle around. They destroyed an entire brigade, one of the worst defeats in the history of the British Army, as the Afghans were so proud that the last Afghan king built a Maiwand victory monument in the centre of Kabul. Yeah. Yeah. That last little bit was after the poem that was Our Children Will Ask Us was referenced in I Am Malala and all. And yeah, and I'll put the rest of the links in the description below. So yeah, I'll see you all tomorrow, and yeah, bye for now. See you all later, as I've still got news to do. Yeah, I'll say bye and see you in news, and yeah, bye for now.